right now.
Good morning, San Antonio. I'm Jonathan Cotto. An intense situation just about a block behind from where I'm standing. San Antonio police in negotiations with the man who has barricaded himself inside his home. What led up to this situation? We have details coming up.
Plus, on Leading SA, we're talking to one of the local experts talking about lung cancer, a doctor from UT Health San Antonio. That's coming up in just a few moments.
The Rock and Roll Marathon has already kicked off. Not a great view out there right now. We could see the runners outside of our KSAT studios. Sarah Spivey has the Rock and Roll Marathon and Half Marathon forecast for you in just a bit.
Good morning. It is 8 o'clock. It is Sunday. It is December 4th. Thank you so much for starting your morning with us. And anyone who's running in the marathon already out there. Did you see a lot of people behind KSAT?
I did, and Sarah and I tried to walk out to cheer, but we couldn't because, of all the construction happening and our station. But also, Sarah, some patchy drizzle for some of the runners this morning.
Some drizzle out there this morning. Drizzle has actually become a little bit more robust just within the last hour. Those temperatures and those dew points are getting closer to each other. As we take a look outside near the airport right now, you can see just how robust that drizzle is out there. Showing up on the camera, some damp spots on the roads there. It's not as intense as it has been late last week, but still, it's reducing visibility to about a mile at the airport, down to 3 miles at Port SA, down to 4 miles in Bernie. Starting to see drizzle move into New Braunfels as well, where visibility is down to 2 miles. And elsewhere, we're looking at temperatures in the 50s. So it's chilly this morning. 53 in San Antonio, 54 at Kelly Air Force Base, 52 at GMSA Randolph, and 54 at Stinson. We can actually see the drizzle on the radar with a more robust swath of drizzle right along that Comal, Bexar, and Guadalupe County lines early this morning. I've turned up the intensity here so you can see where there are pockets of drizzle out there. It's patchy for us, but we're going to continue to see patchy drizzle through the morning hours and potentially even until about noon. Otherwise, though, it will be cloudy and cool this afternoon with a high temperature of 63. This is going to be the coolest day of the week ahead. We have got temperatures pretty warm in the week ahead for December standards. I'll have those details for you coming up in a few minutes. Max.
Thank you, Sarah. Now to some late breaking news we've been following through the morning. San Antonio police involved in a standoff working to convince a man to come out of his house.
We've learned the situation has already taken a violent turn. At least one person has been shot.
Jonathan Cotto joining us live from the scene. Jonathan, do we know how this all started?
Max, that's an excellent question. I'm learning that this all started because of loud music. San Antonio police say that the disturbance caused the homeowner to come outside and confronted his neighbor with a shotgun. He shot fires to the ground, the pellets injuring a woman that was next door. But again, this started because of music. I can tell you that San Antonio police arrived to the 300 block of Noria Street close to 10:30 last night. So this has been an hours-long negotiation. The scene now cleared. Police tell us that those negotiations were unfortunately not successful, so they are allowing this man to de-escalate and kind of cool off on his own, hoping that this will better the situation. But again, he is inside of his home by himself, fully armed. The scene is now cleared, and this is something that's going to remain under investigation. I spoke with the sergeant here on scene, said that they're going to be patrolling the area, and this man could potentially be facing aggravated assault with a deadly weapon charge. So this is something that we're going to stay on top of and get more information as that information starts trickling in. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Jonathan. And as we've been talking about throughout the weekend, happening today, the Rock and Roll Marathon, it is already underway. It started at 7 a.m. We've seen thousands of runners take part. And here's the thing, even if you're not participating, today's events probably still can and already have affected you. A lot of roads being shut down throughout the city up to UTSA for the marathon. I know a lot of people frustrated out there. A lot of people have questions. So if you scan the QR code on the screen, it'll take you right to KSAT.com. We have a full list of closures, everything you need to know. Well, 1 in 16 people will be diagnosed with lung cancer throughout their life. It is the leading cause of cancer death and the second most common cause of cancer in the United States.
That's why joining us this morning to help dispel some of those myths about lung cancer is Dr. Josephine Taverna, a lung oncologist with UT Health San Antonio MD Anderson Cancer Center. Good morning, doctor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Doctor, how big of a problem is this in our community, and what are some of the risk factors that people watching should know about?
So it is actually a big risk. Now with because of the COVID pandemic, we're picking up more and more lung cancer because of a lot of the CT scans that we're doing in the hospital or in the outpatient clinic. They usually present as nodules, and sometimes they are advanced. They go to the lymph nodes. Because of patients, the majority of my patients are smokers. They smoke a pack a day for 30 years or more. Those patients are most at risk, but moderate smokers as well as light smokers should still discuss CT scans with their primary care doctor. Doing a CT scan once a year will allow us to detect a nodule, a spot in the lung that's abnormal, and you can biopsy that, and it is resectable. A surgeon can actually take that nodule out and make a patient potentially curable. So early detection is important.
You mentioned a lot of your patients are smokers, but with vaping becoming a very popular trend the last 10, 15 years, are you guys seeing, do we know if there's a direct correlation between vaping and lung cancer?
Yes, anytime you inhale something that can be that is a carcinogen, it can actually cause some damage in the lung, in that lung cell and mutations arise that bring forth that cancer. And then once that cancer cell occurs, it actually spreads and grows rapidly. So yes, vaping or any smoking, any inhalation of these chemicals can cause lung injury.
Now, obviously, you emphasize early detection. How early are we talking? When is the earliest someone should go get checked out?
Pretty much, I've seen the majority of smokers can be in their 40s, 50s, or 60s. One of the things that we encourage is just that patients try to quit smoking because it's the years of chronic smoking that occurs. But if someone has smoked in, let's say, 20 or 30 years, I think that's the right time to start doing your yearly scans with a low dose contrast CT.
So what are some myths about lung cancer you want to dispel?
Yes, so the 50% of the patients in my clinic are Hispanic, while the majority of those are chronic smokers. 15% of those patients can be Hispanic women or women of Asian descent. And those patients even though they are non-smokers, they have a mutation that arises from a lung cancer cell, like an EGFR or an ALK mutation. And that mutation causes the tumor to grow rapidly. But we can turn the switch off if we detect that tumor, with a biopsy and that mutation. And those are oral targeted therapy. They're not necessarily chemotherapy. So an EGFR inhibitor or an ALK inhibitor. So that's the good news. People do very well with that. Even patients who've had their tumor spread beyond the lung to the bone, the spine, or the brain. A lot of times we see those tumors regress, and we could put patients potentially in remission for years.
All right, so take us through it. I mean, say someone got their first test and they had been a smoker for decades, finally got a CT scan. If that patient were to find out they're in an advanced stage of lung cancer, is treatment still available, or is it too far gone?
No, absolutely. Treatment is always available. We have patients in the past. We only had chemotherapy 10, 20 years ago and beyond. We could offer patients only chemotherapy that kills rapidly dividing cells. We now know that the immune system is a huge component and what helps us fight cancer every day in patients without cancer. So with the advent of immunotherapy, we're actually seeing the survival of lung cancer patients with stage 4 disease, patients who've had their lung cancer spread beyond the lung to other parts through the bloodstream. We've actually improved survival from 5% survival at 5 years to 25% survival with at 5 years. And now with clinical trials, these novel drugs that are making its way into the clinic, we have even more hope, and patients are living well beyond 5 years because of these hopeful therapies that are coming down the pipeline.
Dr. Josephine Taverna, thank you so much for your time this morning dispelling all of those lung cancer myths. We really appreciate it. To our viewers who want to catch more of this information, we'll have that link for you on our website later this morning.
All right, thank you, Dr. Time now just about 8:10, 53 degrees out.
Still ahead before 8:30, tributes pouring in honoring one of the biggest pet celebrities on TikTok has passed away. We'll check in on what's trending. Still ahead.
And up next, as violent crime goes up in San Antonio, one organization is stepping up to make our community a safer place. We're going to hear from them next.
Max, do you know what I'm doing right now?
I assume you're on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram because we have a GMSA Instagram takeover this morning. I love the inception here. I'm like filming for Instagram on TV. Yeah, so head over to KSAT's Instagram to see our takeover. We'll talk more about that later on the show.
And something we're also going to be talking about throughout the morning, the weather. Take a look out here. You can't see too much. It is 53 degrees out there right now. Thousands of people flock to San Antonio running for the Rock and Roll Marathon. We're going to check in with Sarah Spivey for your full forecast. Good morning and welcome back. Well, this morning, a local faith-based nonprofit stepping up, trying to help out, trying to end daily gun violence that we see across the city.
So Big Mama's Safe House is starting the GREAT program. GREAT stands for Gang Rehabilitation Ending Affiliation Ties. The belief is everyday people can help reduce violent crime and improve public safety. It's part of a national movement where communities strategize ways to end violent crime. Benny Price was inspired to create the program here after learning about the campaign.
Taking a public health approach to ending gun violence. We believe that gun violence is a disease, and we're going to the root cause of it.
So Saturday was the first GREAT community resource fair. Big Mama's Safe House is committing to doing this every month to make meaningful changes and make our communities safer.
And speaking of our community, a quick reminder, KSAT community, we are in the middle of our Share the Shoes campaign. You can donate a new pair of socks or shoes to a child in need. This drive is in partnership with San Antonio Police, Zapatos, and RBFCU. So there's a few places you can drop off. Every San Antonio Police substation is taking donations. So is San Antonio's police headquarters. It goes until December 16th. It is so easy. You walk into any of the substations, any of the headquarters. You drop off the shoes in the big box that says Share the Shoes. It goes to a family in need across our community. If you have any questions, just head to KSAT community page on KSAT.com. But one of the stories of the morning, obviously, is the marathon.
Yeah.
And it's upsetting, Sarah, because we were supposed to have the helicopter out there.
Sky 12 was supposed to be out there, but they couldn't actually get up and fly in the air because of the visibility.
They'd rather be safe because visibility has been lowering over San Antonio because of some drizzle that's out there. And drizzle has actually become more robust out there this morning. Just goes to show that all you need is a little bit of moisture in the atmosphere and you're going to get some drizzle this week. And that's going to be the case just about every morning of this upcoming week. We're going to have drizzle, although it will be some 10 to 15 degrees warmer. It's chilly out there right now. This is a look at the airport. Again, a great way to gauge the visibility. You can barely make out the air traffic control tower there at the airport. Again, there are some damp spots on the roads this morning. It's 52 degrees. Visibility is down to 1.5 miles. Dew points are kind of coming up a little bit closer to that temperature. Dew point at 50 degrees. I've turned up the intensity on the radar so that you can see the drizzle that's out there right now. If you were to use any old regular radar, you may have a difficulty turning up the intensity, but we have that capability here at KSAT. And you can see that right along 1604 on the east side of Bexar County, that's where we've got a heavier swath of drizzle that's pushing through Schertz, moving northeast toward New Braunfels and Seguin right now this morning into Guadalupe County. Behind this swath, drizzle is a little bit more patchy. We're seeing some patchy drizzle on the west side of town toward Helotes, toward Castroville, toward Devine and Lytle. Also seeing some of that light patchy drizzle through the area. Don't want to forget about our friends out to the west toward Brackettville, Uvalde, Sabinal, Hondo. Also seeing some patchy drizzle out there out west today. We're seeing generally drizzly, damp conditions out there. And another way to see the drizzle other than turning up the intensity on the radar is by looking at the visibility reported at many of the official sites there across South Central Texas. So visibility down to 4 miles in Kerrville, down to 2 in New Braunfels, down to less less than 2 miles in Carrizo Springs and in Del Rio. Honestly, San Antonio area experiencing one of the lower visibilities of south central Texas, but it even varies around the county. Eastern Bexar County toward Converse, nice visibility there near 9 miles, but 2-mile visibility in South Bexar County near Stinson. And as I show you the future cast, again, this drizzle is going to be possible through about close to lunch, and then in the afternoon we're mainly just going to have a cloudy and cool day for us today. Temperatures are going to struggle to get out of the 50s, and as we look at later this afternoon, there could be a few peaks of sunshine south and east, but generally a cloudy day and a high temperature only of 63 in San Antonio. Elsewhere, it'll be 59 in Boerne and Bulverde, 62 Rio Medina, Kerrville you'll be at 61, 66 in Floresville, Nixon, Smiley, and in Pleasanton, 64 in Seguin. In your KSAT 12-hour forecast, just to recap everything I said, we are going to continue to have this patchy drizzle through the morning hours, and then in the afternoon, that's when we'll be able to see temperatures rebound slightly, only into the low 60s for the high temperature. We'll have winds from the northeast today about 5 to 10 miles per hour. It'll be cool this evening, but near 60 degrees, so not really cooling off too much from the afternoon high temperature. And then by midnight, we could have drizzle all over again. And I'm going to show you the weather setup here. A lot of the heavier, robust rain is up near Dallas-Fort Worth and across the desert southwest. In the upper levels of the atmosphere, we're seeing a ridge of high pressure overhead. This is preventing us from seeing clouds develop tall and produce healthy rainfall totals. Instead, what we're going to see this week is just some annoying morning drizzle that may amount to 1/100 of an inch of rain here and there. But the important thing to pay attention to over the next couple of days is the dew points. Right now, dew points are pretty low in San Antonio. Even though humidity is close to 100%, dew points are low. As we look closer to this evening, though, dew points are going to be rising. And by this week, tomorrow, really, we're going to be seeing dew points in the 60s. What does that mean for us? It means morning drizzle and fog just about every single day through Thursday. Noticeably humid conditions outside. I mentioned our average high temperature is 67 this time of year. Well, that'll be our morning low in the coming days, and highs will be close to 80. We're going to be pretty gray too, only a few peaks of sunshine in the afternoon.
All right, for the runners' sake, I'm glad the humidity waited till at least tomorrow.
Yeah, you know, they're dealing with plenty of drizzle though out there right now. So
speaking of which, we've been monitoring stuff on TransGuide. Let's see if we can take a look at what's going on out there.
Yeah, so you can see the visibility, a lot of fog in that area. Loop 410 at Highway 151. It looks like that exit right there is closed. You can see the flashing lights. Really can't determine if this was a crash or what's happening there, but if this is in your route this morning, keep this in mind. I'll give our friends at TransGuide a call to see what's taking place there. And we'll be right back.
Welcome back. In your morning spotlight, a famous pug who took the world of social media by storm is now being remembered as an icon.
Oh, this really got me this morning. Noodle the pug passed away Saturday at the age of 14. His owner, Jonathan Grisano, made the announcement that his beloved pet had died in his arms. Millions of people followed Noodle every day to see if he was having a bones or no bones day. In each video, the owner would sit Noodle upright to see if the dog would stand on his own. If he stood up by himself, it was a bones day, which became internet code for seizing the day. If the pug flopped over, it was a sign it was time to go back to bed. He hopes his many fans on social media will join him in celebrating the famous pug's life and legacy.
Time now, 8:25, 52 degrees out.
Well, still ahead at 8:30, 3 families are without a home after a fire ravaged their apartment complex last night. How one family was able to get out in time.
Plus, it's a story we've been following through the morning. We're live at the scene of a shooting that turned into a police standoff. We're going to look at why law enforcement now backing away from the scene. We're going to check in live with John Koto in just a few moments.
And we just got off the phone with TransGuide to look right there. Not a lot of visibility out there. A lot of incidents popping up. You're looking at Loop 410, 151. We have a crash there, and the exit is closed. Another incident at 90 West and Loop 410. Another exit crash and another crash at 10 and the Y. We're going to bring you more on these incidents around town when we come back. And Sarah, we're going to have shots for our viewers of from above, from Sky 12. Mm-hmm. Sky 12 couldn't get in the air because of visibility issues, Sarah.
Yeah, that drizzle has really started to become robust in spots, although it's patchy. Drizzle comes and drizzle goes, and that's the case with the live cam right now. If you've been paying attention and watching the show for more than 30 minutes, you'll notice that visibility has improved right now at the airport. That air traffic control tower is more visible off in the distance, but you can see there are damp spots out there right now, damp spots on the road. It's 52 degrees. We've recorded about 0.02 of an inch of drizzle at the airport this morning, and visibility is reportedly down to 1.5 miles at the airport. Elsewhere, we're seeing lower visibility in Boerne, where visibility is up 4 miles, 3 miles in Castroville, 2.5 at Stinson, 3 in Pleasanton, and 2 in New Braunfels. It's chilly too this morning. Temperatures are in the 50s, 50 in Kerrville. Good morning in Rock Springs. It's 48 degrees, 53 in Pleasanton, 54 in New Braunfels, 60 in Del Rio. And as we zoom a little closer into San Antonio, good morning in Seguin, it's 53, 54 at Stinson, 55 in Castroville, 50 in Boerne, and 51 in Bulverde. Here's our weather headlines for the day. Times of drizzle this morning, but this afternoon, the drizzle will end. It'll be cloudy and cool and in the 60s. And this week, humid and warm. We're talking temperatures some 10 to 15 degrees warmer than average, and just about every day we'll have some morning drizzle and fog. Those details in your 7-day forecast coming up.
Thank you, Sarah. Now to some late-breaking news we've been following through the morning. San Antonio police involved in a standoff, working to convince a man to come out of his house.
So we've learned the situation has already taken a violent turn. At least one person has been shot.
Jonathan Cotto has been live at the scene through the morning. He's actually left the scene in close proximity to where the shooting happened for safety reasons and tells us why. Jonathan, what's going on out there?
That's right, Max. San Antonio police, along with their hostage negotiation units, have cleared the scene. This in an effort of de-escalating the situation there on the 300 block of Noria Street. This is a neighborhood on the city's west side. Now, we've also decided to leave the scene just as a precaution. They're telling us that those communication efforts have not been successful, so that's part of the reason why they've taken this decision. Now, it's important to mention that I did ask San Antonio police if anyone or that area was in immediate danger. They said that that is not the case, but the man is armed and barricaded inside his home with a weapon. So we do know that is a fact here this morning. The neighbors were evacuated this morning as well as a precaution. And again, that woman was shot when the suspect began shooting towards the ground. One of those pellets ricocheted and hit that woman on the leg. She was treated on scene by EMS, and she is expected to be okay. Of course, this is a situation that is going to be ongoing here this morning. I spoke again with police who say they're going to be making their rounds in that area. So if anyone's concerned for their well-being or their safety, again, just keep in close contact or communication with San Antonio police and let them know of any disturbances or anything outside of the normal. Again, this is a story that's going to be, we're going to keep an eye on the situation closely, be in communication with San Antonio police, the police department, and update you as anything new develops. Back to you in the studio, Max. Sarah.
Jonathan, great coverage out there. Thank you. New this morning, San Antonio police are investigating an overnight crash involving a possible drunk driver. Police tell us someone crashed into a police car as officers were clearing the road of a separate wreck. Now, this was a scene around 1:15 this morning along I-10 and West Avenue. While police were clearing the road of a car wreck, officers say a pickup truck slammed into the back of a police car. We're told the officer inside his unit was not injured. The driver of the truck was taken to the hospital for minor injuries and is being evaluated for a possible DWI. The people involved in the first crash weren't hurt and safely got off the highway.
Also new this morning, 3 families trying to figure out what comes next. They know that their belongings are damaged. All of this in the aftermath of a devastating apartment fire. So this was the scene on the southeast side at the Ridge at South Cross complex. Firefighters on the scene telling us this all started on the 2nd floor. Investigators still figuring out what exactly caused the fire, but we do know a 12-year-old boy on the scene told our reporters there that he was on the 3rd floor with his family members. He was actually visiting his sister for her birthday. That's when they started smelling and seeing thick smoke.
The vent just started smoking, so we opened the vent, like the closet, and it was just like a pipe. The smoke was coming up.
And the 12-year-old able to quickly evacuate everyone inside the apartment, getting them downstairs quickly and safely. Luckily, no injuries have been reported.
Well, 2 parents are in jail this morning accused of taking their own children after Child Protective Services was granted temporary custody. So take a look at your screen. 35-year-old Jacqueline Davidson and 40-year-old Jamie Davidson were both arrested Saturday for interference with child custody. These were the 2 people involved in the Amber Alert that was sent out to phones across the state earlier yesterday morning. And as we reported here first on GMSA, they were found with all 6 children who range in ages from 1 to 11 years old.
So we've been talking about it throughout the weekend. It is Rock and Roll Marathon weekend. The race kicked off at 7 a.m. But here's the thing, even if you're not participating, today's events can still and probably will still affect you. A lot of roadways around the Alamo City are shut down for the marathon. We know some people are confused, probably very frustrated. So if you pull out your phone, go to the camera app, scan the QR code on the screen. It'll take you right to our website. We have a full list of all the closures you need to know. And of course, timetables.
So a reminder, if you're participating in any of the races today, or if you participated yesterday, several places offering discount to runners. So this is a list of just a few of the businesses offering those special prices for participants. According to Rock and Roll website, all you have to do is show proof of registration for the deals. You can also find all that information at your convenience on our website, KSAT.com. And looking ahead, the holidays are all about giving, and you've got a chance to do just that with the Salvation Army's annual Parade of Kettles.
So local businesses and media competing to try to raise the most amount of money to help the most amount of families in need this holiday season. So from now until midnight on Christmas Eve, KSAT, yes, us, we will be competing to raise the most money to help families in the Bexar County area all year long. Scan the QR code. It'll take you right to our donation page.
Are we ringing on Tuesday, Max?
We should be there on Tuesday.
And maybe Sarah can join us too.
It'll be good.
Maybe Lee can join us.
Maybe Lee. She's our team captain.
Yep. All right.
All right. A lot of morning headlines to talk about as well. This one right ahead of NFL Sunday. Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson set to be back on the gridiron for the first time since his 11-game suspension, all for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy.
So Watson is playing against his former team, the Houston Texans, with some of the women who made accusations against him reportedly set to be in the stands.
ABC's DeMarco Morgan explains.
As embattled Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson takes the field in Houston tonight, several of his accusers plan to be at the game too. It will be Watson's first season appearance following an 11-game suspension and a $5 million NFL fine after accusations from more than 24 women accusing him of sexual misconduct. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell calling his behavior predatory.
It's a dark day in the National Football League when a man who is accused by more than 24 women of sexual misconduct and has had settlements with many of those women is allowed to play football and start for an NFL team.
Watson speaking to reporters for the first time on Thursday.
There's only football questions that I can really address at this time.
The penalties faced by Watson among the most severe in league history, but some of his accusers think his apology wasn't enough.
I'm apologizing to everyone that was affected about this whole situation.
One of those accusers, Ashley Solis, spoke out in August.
What do the actions of the NFL say to little girls who have suffered at the hands of someone perceived to have power? That it's not a big deal? That they don't care?
Watson has settled a civil lawsuit with 23 of his accusers and was ordered to undergo an evaluation and receive treatment in order to return to play. Still, he remains one of the highest paid players in the NFL with a $230 million guaranteed contract with the Browns.
I'm not worried about the atmosphere. I got to go in and make sure I execute the game plan.
And as Watson is about to come face-to-face with his former team on the field, in the stands, his accusers won't go away quietly.
It is a story that should not go away. This is a story way too important to be swept under the rug and have everyone just return to football.
Watson has apologized and repeatedly denied any wrongdoing. 2 Texas grand juries declined to indict him on criminal charges. As for the NFL, they released a statement saying that he must continue receiving mandated treatment until he successfully completes the program. DeMarco Morgan, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Time now, just about 8:40, 52 degrees out.
Earlier, we had some issues out on the road. Let's take a look at TransGuide. So Loop 410 and 151, you can see earlier, the incident is clear. We had an incident out there. It is clear, but the visibility out there, not too great. We had some other incidents pop up around, but we're not seeing any on our cameras. If anything else happens, we'll let you know about it.
All right. We're also going to let you know about our Instagram takeover. So, Sarah, tell us about one of the segments you did.
Okay, we did rapid fire questions where I asked Max and Sarah Spivey things like espresso or energy drink, tequila or vodka.
Look at, this
winery,
news thing doesn't work out. You'd be a game show host. This is fantastic.
Right. So if you want to find out all of those answers and just some really cool behind the scenes for our morning show, head over to KSAT's Instagram page and join in on the fun.
All right, you know what's not so fun?
What?
It's the weather. Take a look at this. Not great this morning. What is the rest of the weekend? What does the work week look like? We're going to check in with Sarah Spivey for your full forecast.
Back to some late breaking news we've been following this morning. San Antonio police were working a standoff earlier, working to convince a man to come out of his home.
So we've learned the situation had already taken a violent turn. At least one person has already been shot.
Our Jonathan Cotto left the scene for safety reasons and tells us why. Jonathan, have you learned anything else?
That's right, Sarah. We did have to relocate just as a precaution. San Antonio police and their hostage negotiation units also left the scene. This is in an effort of de-escalating the situation and allowing that suspect who was barricaded inside of his home to cool off. Now, I did have the opportunity to ask San Antonio police if he or anyone else in the surrounding area were in danger. He said no, but did warn everyone to call in and let them know if they see anything, outside of the ordinary or anything that makes them feel perhaps in danger. This situation unfolded around 10:30 last night. San Antonio police responded to the 300 block of Noria Street. This is a neighborhood on the city's west side. Now, this all started because of loud music. Neighbors began arguing. That led to a fight. The suspect came out with a shotgun, started shooting towards the ground. One of the pellets, unfortunately, hitting a woman on the leg. Now, the good news here is that she is expected to be okay. One of those pellets just nicked her leg. She was treated on scene by EMS, so she did not need to go to a hospital. But those negotiation efforts, again, were not successful. They were trying to communicate with the suspect via telephone, but it never went through. So important to note here that this morning neighbors were evacuated for safety reasons as well. But again, those hostage negotiation units did leave the scene in an effort of letting this man cool off. Again, this is a situation that San Antonio Police Department is keeping a close eye on. They will be making their rounds and urge the community again to call in any behavior that perhaps is suspicious or that puts them or makes them feel in danger. Reporting live, Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Jonathan. We're obviously going to be staying with this situation throughout the day, so make sure to stay with us on air and online at ksat.com. But turning to the weather, really turning to be the story of the morning.
I know, Sarah. The runners out there, so when they started, not a lot of that patchy drizzle.
Right.
But and it's starting to clear up now.
It is in some spots.
Okay.
It's patchy drizzle, all right? So it's coming in waves, and you can actually see that on the camera here right near the airport. Really nice visibility at the airport right now, whereas just about an hour ago we were seeing a lot of drizzle out there. Hard to see about a mile outside of that camera. Now, there's still being some light rain reported at the airport. It is 52 degrees, and winds are from the northeast at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Showing you the radar right now because you can actually see the break in the drizzle near the airport. Let's go ahead and zoom in closer to Bexar County and the San Antonio metro area. A swath of drizzle is pushing into New Braunfels and Seguin. Here's the airport, and you can see that swath of drizzle has pushed on off to the north and to the east. Now, there is still some drizzle in southwestern Bexar County as it moves to the north and to the east as well. So I do anticipate us to see some additional drizzle near the airport airport here shortly, probably within the next 30 minutes or so. Elsewhere, off to the west, we've got some patchy drizzle in Uvalde, Sabinal, Hondo at the moment as well. We've been able to turn up the intensity on the radar so that you can see the drizzle a little bit better, but this stuff is pretty light. We've reported about 2/10 of an inch of 2/100ths of an inch of rain at the airport. And when we look at the visibility, you can also see where the drizzle is more intense. Visibility is fine in San Marcos, but down to 2 miles in New Braunfels, down to 2.5 miles in Bernie, down to less than 1.5 miles Port SA on the west side. Again, that's that other patch of drizzle that's pushing to the north and to the east. Visibility improving in Kerrville at 5 miles. And as we look at the futurecast, we have the potential for some drizzle through about noon. And then in the afternoon, we'll really just be left with a pretty cloudy and cool day. Temperatures themselves are going to struggle to get out of the 50s, but I do think we'll get into the low 60s. It'll be 63 in San Antonio, 64 in Seguin, 64 in Devine, 66 in Floresville and Poteet, 61 in Helotes, and 59 in Bernie and Bulverde. When we look at your KSAT 12-hour forecast, again, patchy drizzle is possible through about noon. And then in the afternoon, perhaps a sprinkle, but generally a cloudy day. Northeast to east winds at about 5 miles per hour. 63 for the high temperature, and tonight's going to be a cool evening near 60 and cloudy as well. Now, as we look at our weather setup, all of the robust rain is actually across parts of North Texas. We've got a ridge of high pressure overhead, and that's preventing us from seeing healthy rainfall totals. Really, we're just stuck with this drizzle this morning. And dew points are going to be on the rise, too. Dew points right now in San Antonio near 50 degrees. But as we look ahead to tomorrow, and throughout most of the week, dew points will actually be in the 60s. That's pretty muggy, and we could potentially see a front drop the dew points briefly on Friday, but still, with high humidity, we're going to be seeing daily drizzle and fog in the morning hours, and temperatures are going to be warmer too in the week ahead. We'll be looking at mornings in the 60s, afternoons in the 70s. The average high temperature this time of year is 67, and we may not even cool down to 67 from Tuesday night into Wednesday. So again, a pretty muggy week for us ahead, and not much relief from the humidity as we head into next weekend as well.
All right, Sarah Spivey, thank you so much. 8:50, 52 degrees out.
We're going to take a look out at TransGuide. We do have another incident, that tow truck on scene at I-10 and the Y. It looks like a car made of, maybe skid because of the wet roads there. Hopefully everyone is okay.
That's that fine silver curve there, a very sharp curve as you're on I-10. So just use caution on the sharper curves because of the dampness on the roads.
All right, tomorrow on GMSA, our grocery store is using mind manipulation to get you to buy more stuff.
What?
I know, we're going to show you the secret sauce to staying a savvy shopper as you head into the holidays.
So we mentioned that drizzle is going to come and go, kind of be patchy. In just the last 5 minutes, visibility has lowered again near the airport because of another round of this patchy drizzle out there. And you can see that on the radar right now. Another patchy round of drizzle working through downtown San Antonio, pushing toward the airport and through South Bexar County. Drizzle is possible through about noon, and then we're going to have a cloudy and cool day, high temperature only in the low 60s, and we'll be looking at temperatures in this evening being near 60 degrees as well. Morning drizzle and fog all week long, especially through about Thursday. We may get a front that moves through Thursday night into Friday to knock down the humidity at least briefly, but otherwise it's going to be a noticeably humid and warm week. Kind of a contrast to November, right? November was cooler than average, and this week for the first full week of December is going to be warmer than average.
All right, thank you, Sarah. We're going to take one last look at TransGuide. This is the incident over at the Fine Silver Curve at 10 and the Y. It looks like police have the tow wrecker there on scene, and hopefully everyone is okay. If you're out on the roads today, please take it easy as they are starting to dry.
Yeah, so not only the wet roads, but also the road closures. The Rock and Roll Marathon going on. Big shout out. We only have 15 seconds left. Big shout out to Alicia and Stephanie, who both running today, running through the conditions, and just running in general. Even if you're doing the half, it is so impressive. So congratulations to everyone. Have a great rest of your Sunday.
Go.